I'll be with you guys in a minute. Just firing out. DLive's not working. I don't think anyone is here yet, but feel free to swing through here in a sec. I'm setting everything up. All right. All right, I'm back. I don't know why this is all messed up. Let me fix that chat. Hey, Jess. Hey, guys. Give me one sec. I'm still setting everything up. It takes a lot to get everything in order. Truth Seeker, I don't really, like I said, I'm kind of burned out on it, man. We talked about it straight for a year. Maybe we'll revisit it someday, but, I mean, what's left to say? We've covered it every which way under the sun. Hi, Janet. How are you? Thanks for joining me here. I'm just giving a minute to get everybody over at DLive in. Oh, hey. Thanks, everybody at DLive. Thanks for coming by. I'm still trying to figure out all the settings because Tidy changed his, I guess they updated or something, so I can't figure out how to fix my followers. I can't get back into that area. So it's going to look a little funny on that. Oh, let me, sorry, my screen's a little messed up here. Let me fix all this to get it to where I need it. So I can read it easy and you guys can read it easy. Sometimes OBS just does not want to cooperate. All right. Well, Janet, this is I don't know if you've been to a live stream before, but this is a live stream. What we do is mainly hang out, talk, I'll answer some questions, and we just chill out. So but before I get going, guys, I need to know about the sound. Is everything okay? Is the music too loud? You tell me. Let me reset that a little so you can hear it. And if you're just tuning in and watching the rerun of this, I'm sorry. Jump ahead a minute or two. There you go. Fortunately, it's not easy as it seems to just cut out all the fluff and get right down to the show. It's been a little while since I've gone live, so just give me a minute to get everything, all the plates spinning. Especially when you're streaming on two platforms. I'm streaming over at DLive, which I really like DLive. I'm trying to build my audience there, so if you're over there, feel free to give me a shout over there and say hi that you're watching there. And it is the more preferred area where I deal with chat, but if you want to keep supporting the machine, you can stay here on YouTube. Okay, so let's talk about this. Firstly, as you guys know, maybe some of you guys are just surfing on for the first time and you don't know what I've been doing. I've gone up and down my whole adult life with my weight. Back when I played rugby, I was really fit and thin. And then I stopped being so much fit and thin as I discovered, drinking. Rugby and drinking go hand in hand. Sometimes they used to. It's not as like that so much anymore, but it used to be much more of a social sport. And So as long as I ran and stuff, I was moderately in shape. Sometimes I would get fat over the season, but never like, 50 pounds heavy. I might be 10 or 20 pounds fat, not 50 or 100. Oh, thanks, Saggy. I thought you've been to one of my streams before. So what happened was, over the years, I stopped doing sports. I got married a while back and just got lazy. When you get married, you get lazy. You just sit around and eat. And, it's easy to gain weight when you're not playing sports. And I was trying all different kinds of diets and food and stuff like that. And I would duck in and play rugby for a few seasons and come out, or I would go to the gym and come out, and it just slowly crept up, 5 pounds a year, 5 pounds a year. Before you know it, you're 50 pounds overweight. You're like, what the hell happened? So it just got really out of control, and I got very interested in nutrition, so I went on and studied a lot about nutrition. In fact, I'm close to being done with my diplomate in clinical nutrition. It takes about 4 years of extra training. And I just really haven't been that motivated to pull the trigger and do the testing and finish my last hours. But I think I'm pretty close. I'm probably within 50 hours or so. So there needs to... So I've always been really interested in nutrition. And I spent all this money on these like high-level nutrition classes. And... the biochemistry is pretty solid, but then what they were kind of preaching didn't fit what I thought was healthy. And so I tried all these kinds of diets and just never could get it to stick. Any diet I tried, I usually did pretty well with. I'd take off 10, 20 pounds and 30 pounds or whatever, and then I just got bored with it and couldn't stick with it. I never could take a diet or a way of eating and transition it to a healthy lifestyle. That key was always missing for me. I could do well with it for a while till I got burned out or bored or something came up. It's always somebody's holiday. It's always somebody's birthday. It's always some reason to eat crappy. It's always out there. So that's it. You're always, there's always an excuse. And it's really easy to fall into that. And then after, I got divorced and stuff, it's easy to put on weight because you just sit around and kind of sad and depressed about it and eat. And, everything's always eating. You're bored, you eat. You're depressed, you eat. It's always an easy dopamine rush. I don't really, I stopped drinking in college. Pretty much after I finished my last rugby game, I stopped drinking. I was a social binge drinker where we'd go to a party and, play drinking games and slam beers, and then that was it. When I was done, that was it. It was all part of the experience. I never really enjoyed, just sitting around. I've never drank alone. Like, you've never come over and I've just had a beer on the couch. That's just not me. I don't really I don't enjoy the taste enough. And as I got fatter and my liver got more messed up, it really hurt. So once in a while at PorkFest, I would get drunk for a night or two, and man, I would be hurting for like a week. So what happens is, after a year or two of eating crappy processed American food, you don't clear all that stuff out of you. Those chemicals have to go somewhere, and they start clogging your liver up. And what happens is, eating 4 or 5 times a day, crappy food, processed food. Eventually, those chemicals overload your liver, and they can't do anything about it anymore. And they just start storing stuff in your fat cells. It's like the backup mechanism because your liver's shot. And you can actually get fatty liver from sugar. So they will cut someone open, and they look just like an alcoholic. They have fatty liver, but it's non-alcohol induced fatty liver, and it's super common now, especially in the States. So that's one of the things. I'm going to take a second, say hi to you guys, and we'll get back to this. Ben Mack, hey, yeah, thanks, I appreciate. I miss Uni's live streams too. I always, we never seem to click on. Once in a while he's on here. I think he was on here about 2 weeks ago. I miss Uni. I try to stop in and see what they're doing. But that guy streams like a madman. Ah, Carla, thanks for the donation over at DLive. I appreciate you watching over there. Thank you so much. And now my there we go. some reason my mouse decided to quit out. Hey, Ewok, what's happening, girl? It's been a long time. How's that baby? So I talked about, oh, and Janet said she weighed 239, but now she's 201. Because the weight loss formula #1, Dr. Steve Sissakind on Facebook, Real Deuce Nutrition, and I take a pill 30 minutes before each, 3 times a day. Each meal 3 times a day. Good. I'm glad that's working for you, Janet. And everybody kind of walks their own path. So understand I'm not here to preach at you about a diet. I'm not here to say this is the only way to eat. Y'all got your own paths. This is the path I chose. And I'm kind of making myself accountable by going on here and talking about it. And honestly, I created a little support group over at Discord where we just talk about plant-based eating. We try to support each other, and sometimes it's just nice to vent over there. So, where was I on this? So as you eat and you get fatter and fatter over the years, your liver gets more and more clogged, and the fat cells have to pick up the extra stuff, the chemicals your liver can't process. And they hold these things in reserves and are waiting for your liver to deal with it. As you gain, a couple pounds a year here and a couple pounds a year there, that stuff never gets dealt with. It's, hey, Locomotive, thanks for the follow. My cat says, hey. Appreciate you watching over D-Live. So what happens is your liver gets clogged more and more each year, and your fat cells they just keep taking the spillover, the excess, and because the standard American diet is, you're eating 3 to 5 times a day, and most of the food is processed in a standard American diet. Very few real fibers and vegetables anymore, and if they are vegetables, are usually cooked, or the fruits, flavored with sugar. It's everything's so damn processed that you can get away with it for a while you're young, but as you get older and older, it just destroys your metabolism. Like you get much slower at burning fat, and it's because you're full of so many toxic chemicals. The fat you're holding is not really fat cells, it's more like toxic fat cells. They're mainly there, and they're swollen with a bunch of water to dilute the salts and the chemicals that are in there so it's not toxic to your body. So you put these gigantic fatty water cells on, and that's the kind of fat where you can get and you can jiggle. Like if somebody's gut's bouncing or it's all cellulite-y, that's toxic fat. That's not normal, like, white or brown fat. It's a little different. Those cells that bounce, when you grab someone and jiggle it, it feels like a bag of water, and it is because it's basically a bag of water in you. These cells are just swollen up with a ton of water. And what happens after that, though, thank you, I appreciate the donation, Cheeky, is that the years go by, and you just get more and more toxic. And what happens is these fat cells actually spill out some of the fat in it. They will spill into the bloodstream, and it's a form of like lipotoxicity, where this is the big slap in the face. The fatter you get, the harder it is to burn fat. So when you're skinnier, you can get away with a lot more stuff. You can eat a lot more processed food. You can take weight off much quicker and faster. And as you get heavier, that process slows down. And if you get really obese, it almost stops completely. Like, I could put a patient on a 500 calorie diet and someone else on the same amount of food, and one will lose weight and the other will gain weight because their hormones are so screwed up, or their everything else is so messed up. Hey, thanks, Warhammer. I hope that the chest pops back up there. So what happened? How do you reverse this trend? Because the fatter you get, the harder it's going to be to lose the fat. It's going to be like a fight to get off a ½ pound. And when you're really obese, it's like a fight to get off 1/10 of a pound. Two major things that happen, and this took me a long time to accept because I just didn't want to hear it, and I fought it, is the first one is oil and fats. Because there's these like keto diets or these heavy meat eating diets where you can they'll even do something called like a fat fast or something, where you basically make your body sick enough to lose weight, but it's not a sustainable long way to do it. It's kind of like a trick to get you to move weight out quick. It doesn't deal with the toxicity issue in your body. You know, that your fat cells are loaded with all these years of processed chemicals, and your liver's loaded with all this stuff. It's more because you're just pulling like a blood sugar trick with your glucose. But if I remember in my practice when I used to test, we used to put people on like a lot of low carb diets, and they would lose weight and their blood pressure would come down, but their liver enzymes and their kidney enzymes would go up, and it was a trade-off. You know, it wasn't, in my opinion, the healthiest way to lose weight. Later on, I learned about plant-based diets, and I feel that it's a much healthier way, and it's the only way that actually has scientific studies that prove that it works for heart disease and reversing most chronic diseases. And it's you know, obesity is just a side effect. It's not a cause of these diseases. It's like, you know, it's not like, it's like when you have a headache. You know, you have a headache because it's a side effect of something wrong. It's not a lack of Tylenol in your blood is the reason you have a headache. It's, you know, a pinched nerve or blood pressure or, you know, a tumor or something's wrong causing that. So what happens is, how do you get your liver back? And how do you get all these toxic crap out of you? Well, first of all, you stop putting it in. Oh, crap. Before we get to this, I forgot one thing. I forgot to explain how oil affects the blood. So I kind of went off on a tangent there. I'm sorry, I'm coming back. What happens is when you eat oil, and they have some really good videos of this. If you go search around YouTube, you'll probably find it. But your blood cells look like Lifesaver candies, where they're kind of like indented in the middle and they have like a rim around them. They look like somebody took a coin and pushed it in, or a ball of dough and pushed it. They're rounded and they're thin. The whole way a cell works is it needs surface area to interact with the blood and pass nutrients in and out. So your body, ideally you want your blood cells to like bounce and move around and flow fast. When you eat oil, it clumps them all together and they stack. You'll look at something, it's called a coining. It's like if you took a bunch of coins and stacked them together. What that does is it stops the surface area with the nutrients around it. If I took a bunch of pennies and threw them in a glass of water, they would there would be a lot of water touching the pennies. But if I put them in a stack and dropped them in the water, it would be much less surface area. So you'll eat oil, and what oil does is it's so hard for your body to handle, it spills into the bloodstream pretty quickly. And it causes the cells to clump and become these big stacks of coins. And the films of it are amazing. Like, it happens within 20 minutes or so. All of a sudden, your cells don't work right anymore. What happens is these cells all stick together. The blood has to push really hard to move this sludge around, this oily sludge. And the cells don't get nutrients anymore. So you will pig out on something oily. And an hour later, your brain's going to go, hey, I didn't get the nutrients I want. Eat it again. And you're going to get these crazy cravings that make you eat over and over. And you will eat all day. And you are literally starving because your cells aren't getting what they want. And your brain's like, hey, I'm still not getting nutrients. Eat again. Eat again. Eat again. And this was me. Like, I will go crazy overeating if I touch oil. It makes me go nuts. And so what was weird is I didn't really understand that it was a big deal. Like, you know, I was like, oh, well, some oil's fine. You know, there's healthy oils, there's olive oils, there's coconut oil. Those are good oils. Not for weight loss. I found out really quickly, no oil or fat is good, because what it does is, even if it's coconut oil, it causes that coining effect in your blood, and it causes your cells to clump together, and they usually last about 10 hours after a meal. So your blood system doesn't work right for 10 hours. So imagine if you eat 3 times a day, every day, your blood system never works for 20 years, like the way it's supposed to. And so the problem with that is when you have a clumpy, oily blood like that, it it sets up so many other problems. Now you can't metabolize glucose right. Now you get insulin. Now you get insulin resistance. Now you get diabetes. And everybody's like, oh, diabetes are from carbs. No, I can sit there and feed you straight potatoes and your diabetes will go away. It's when you throw the butter and the sour cream on that's the problem. And so what happens is, like I was saying before, if you're thin and you work out, you can get away with it. It's no big deal. But as you get more and more fat and more toxic, your body has less tolerance to dealing with this stuff. And if an obese person eats oil, like something's cooked in oil, they will go into a craving cycle. And most likely they'll go into a craving cycle. And on top of that, it will cease like correct nutrient flow to the cells. Boy, I'm tongue-tied today. Sorry about that. So that's it. Stay away. That is the big lesson. Is I thought I could dabble in healthy oils a little bit here and there, but when I got on the scale, it would just like be no. And it makes me crazy hungry. So I had to go cut oil completely out of my life, and now it's a lot easier. My cravings are way less. So I'm like an oil Nazi and fat Nazi, and I know that's hard because people are like, well, there's nuts and good stuff. Yeah, nuts are healthy, but not when you're obese. You're not going to lose any weight eating nuts. It's really, really hard. So you just, because of what I'm talking about, how it makes your blood sludge and the coining effect of the cells, it doesn't matter what kind of oil it is or fat. You know, butter, all that crap. It's going to act the same way in your system. Doesn't matter if it's coconut or olive oil. You know, you're just going to get organic organic grass-fed diabetes. You're still going to get diabetes from it. You know, you just can't eat that once you get so obese. Now, if you're thinner, you can get away with it, like I said, but not some of the people that I talk to cannot. You know, you're so obese you cannot lose any weight if you touch oils or fat. So let me look at your questions. I didn't mean to do that. All right, so we got some questions from Janet. Stopped eating white bread, going to whole wheat. Yeah, it's a good change. It's a lot more calorie dense. Prolonged fasting worked best. Yeah, Austin, I'm going to talk about fasting in a minute. And Ben, Max, thanks so much for all the support. Saggy, I usually eat no bread. No bread or white bread tastes so good with the apple spread I made. Yeah, we talked about that in my group. Come on into my Discord group if you want to see Saggy's spread. So, Janet, I've taken Real Dose since May this year and no side effects. Great. No, Janet, I'm not beating up on, like I said in the beginning, everybody's on their own way of doing it. This is my process, and I have experimented and failed with diets for 20 years, and I've never been able to cross them over to a lifestyle. Like, I'll try something, it'll work for a while, and then I just can't keep up with it. But I feel really comfortable with what I'm doing now. I do believe I can keep up with it, and this is going to be different. And if it doesn't, then I'll adjust again. You know, but right now I feel really good. No caffeine. Why? I'm not sure what you're asking. Are you asking me about the caffeine? If it's good or bad, you guys know the answer to that. So the caffeine, what it does is, all right, you got to remember, weight loss is not simple as calories in and calories out. There's all these hormones and toxicity going on. So if you use caffeine, you will burn out your adrenal glands. Like, your cortisol levels are very, very affected by caffeine. Eventually, your adrenal glands cannot keep making cortisol like it should, and you kick over to using adrenaline, which will give you anxiety. It will wake you up in the middle of the night with nightmares. It is a bad thing when you burn out your adrenal glands. It will make you very on edge and just angry, and, you know, like I can't think of a better word except anxiety. It makes you very anxiety-like. So what happens is, no, even like decaf and all that stuff still has caffeine in it. natural caffeine is still caffeine. It's like, you know, cigarettes are natural too, but they're still cigarettes, you know. It's like there's things that your body just doesn't really know what to do with. And if you guys are coming in late, what I was talking about is you eat a lifetime of processed food, your liver eventually gets clogged, and then eventually your fat cells have to pick up the slack. It has to put all this toxic junk somewhere. And you just get bigger and bigger. And that toxic junk attracts water to the fat cells, and they become these gigantic watery fat cells. And it's like the jiggly fat and the cellulite that's on people. That stuff is toxic fat. So when someone's 100 pounds overweight, they're probably, you know, a majority of that is toxic water weight. And which allows people when they're like 400, 500 pounds to lose 50 pounds in a month. They pee away a bunch of toxic water weight when they start getting their liver working. So let's talk about the best way to deal with this. First off, like I said, don't clog the system in the first place. Stay the hell away from oils and fat like it's the plague if you're obese. If you eat it, it will stop your weight loss. Even the healthy coconut and all that crap. Even nuts. It will just pause your weight loss. It'll clump your cells up like I talked about earlier. And hopefully you understand why. So the liver, the best way to deal with it is stop eating, to give it a chance to clean house. And you can kind of think of your liver, okay, let's pretend I live in a house and I'm a hoarder. And every day I order packages and they get delivered to my house. And every day I have these packages, and I open the packages, and I use them, and I hang out, and my house starts to clutter eventually. I start losing room, and then what do I do with all this packing material, all this toxic packing material? I've got to put it somewhere, so I make a stack of boxes, and I make another stack of boxes. But I keep ordering packages 4 to 5 times a day for years. And I start to run out of room, and I'm organizing, I'm putting in shelves, and there's this huge pile of trash of these boxes that I haven't dealt with. Well, eventually I run out of room, and I'm like, my house is full, but you know what? I've got a shed out back. I'm going to go fill that with boxes. So I go run that to my boxes, and I start doing it out there. And then you fill up that, and you're like, I think I need to buy a new shed so I can store the stuff I ordered. You know, and I'm gonna buy another shed, and then I'm gonna buy another shed, and I'm gonna expand my house. And over, you know, 50 years, you're just falling in on your own clutter and trash. Is the solution? Oh, and then you could, like, you know, maybe talk to a surgeon and remove a building of trash. You know, but is the solution to try to cut or remove or take pills to get rid of this trash? No, the solution is stop bringing it in, right? Stop ordering 4 to 5 things a day, because then all of a sudden I've got a whole day I can start going, okay, now I can throw these boxes out. Now I can and I can finally organize that shelf. I can finally use this that I bought. But if I'm ordering stuff all day long, I can't do that. Well, picture this as like a hoarder, right? Your body, your liver's your house, your fat cells are your sheds. You know, you're filling up this stuff everywhere. So if you stop ordering things and give yourself a chance to clean up, you will eventually get your house organized and throw the trash out. Well, that's what fasting does. You give your body a chance to relax and not deal with crap coming in and clean the house. That's the most efficient way. Now, I was, you know, a functional medicine doctor where we charge people a lot of money to give them nutrients to clean their livers. And it is effective, it works, but if they don't change their lifestyle, it just clogs right back up. It helps short term, but that's really not the solution. It's pretty much like taking green medicine. It's still like taking a drug to fix something. The problem is your damn lifestyle. So, you know, someone needs to have the come to Jesus meeting with you where you get slapped in the face and it's like, hey, stop ordering packages. Stop eating 5 times a day. It's ridiculous. So what happens is as you clean, you start throwing the trash out and organizing your body again. But imagine you've been a hoarder for 30, 40 years. You've eaten 3 to 5 times a day, every day, your whole life. How much trash do you think you got? A hell of a lot. If I was a hoarder and I ordered packages that much, think of how much crap I would have. I wouldn't even know what I had. There would just be piles of stuff. So it's the same deal. If you've been eating a crappy diet or what you think is a healthy diet, but it's really crappy diet for 30, 40 years of your life, it is never going to clean itself out without you stopping and giving your body a chance to do its job. Your liver is really awesome at cleaning house. And what is amazing, what is like crazy amazing, is they will take these MRIs of people with fatty liver. And I was talking about it earlier that you can get fatty liver not just by alcohol, but just by eating high fructose corn syrup, a lot of sugar, a bunch of processed food with chemicals. All kinds of things can screw up your liver and give you a fatty or cirrhosis liver, scarred up liver. So what happens is you can take this liver, give it a chance, and not eat. They fasted people for like a week or two and would MRI them again. And they saw within just a matter of 2 weeks that it had shrank about a third of its size. That is amazingly fast for something in your body to change. The MRIs were showing these unbelievable results with fasting in fatty liver, that it could quickly reverse it. And people were really blown away. So just a few weeks, you can get a huge jump start on cleaning it out. Now, let's see what you guys have to say. I missed a bunch of what you're saying. Oh, such BS that potatoes has starch, which breaks down into sugar, which causes high insulin, that causes diabetes. Yeah, Austin, I agree with you that, I could feed someone just potatoes and their diabetes will go away, reverse, and their heart, their clogged up arteries will actually repair and get better. It is when you add the butter and the sour cream and the bacon to the potatoes that causes all the problems. Your liver damage can be reversed. Correct. You were saying your liver damage can be corrected. That's what I was talking about. And not only can it be corrected, it can be corrected a good chunk of it very quickly. It'll take a while to replace the whole thing. But the liver's this one crazy organ you have that you can actually remove 3/4 of your liver and it will grow back. You can take a whole lobe off a liver and that thing will grow back, which none of your other organs do that, as far as I know. So your liver is unbelievably resilient. So it's not too late. If you've trashed your body your whole life, don't give up. You can bring it back. All right. Ben says he needs his coffee. I know. you guys can bitch at me about the coffee. That's fine, but don't shoot the messenger. That's just the way it is. It stresses out your adrenal glands and makes your hormones go ballistic. And it also really wrecks your sex hormones. Cortisol has massive effects on kind of like sideways, but it really can affect your sex hormones. So, just saying. All right. The rest of this is you guys talking. How many times a day? Oh, peeing a lot? Yeah. If you're peeing a lot, it depends what you're doing. If you're pumping a lot of water into you, there's different ways to fast, and we're going to talk about that. There's something called dry fasting, which is where you give your not only body a break, but you give your kidneys a break to clean house and kind of, they have these things called waxy casts. They're like basically byproducts of acidosis that's left over that your kidneys will push out and pee out if you give them a break. Sometimes it's good to drink no water and eat no food. To give your body a roll, to give your body a break. Boy, I am just tongue-tied this morning. All right, Saggy says, if nuts are bad, that seems hard in a plant-based diet. I love all kinds of nuts. Saggy, I didn't say nuts were bad. What I said is nuts are bad for weight loss. You can actually, if you look at some vegan bodybuilders, they eat a lot of nuts, but they're ripped and they're like 3% body fat. You can eat nuts, and nuts are actually very healthy. And there's some studies that show that some people eat nuts and actually lose weight. But what I'm telling you is, if you get a large dose, it's kind of like a gateway drug. It opens you up to eating huge amounts of oil and fat. And if you're obese, you can't do that, man. It will just clog your cells, like I was talking about, and hit you. Now, oils from nuts don't do that nearly as much, but they still have an effect if you eat too many of them, and they're just very calorically dense. I mean, calories still count for something. So nuts are very healthy. They're just not healthy for weight loss. They're not good for weight loss. So hopefully that answers that question. Plants have oil too. Sage makes essential oils. Yeah, there's some, but those oils are locked in fiber. See, a lot of people are like, well, coconut oils and avocado oil and olive oil is all natural. And it's like, no, it's processed. You have to crush these things to get this oil out. That's not how you'd find it in nature. Oil is some of the most processed stuff ever. I mean, how the hell does corn have oil? Like, what do you got to do to get oil out of corn? How much processing? That doesn't sound natural. So it's still just, and it's the most calorically dense thing you can eat. Like, you can have so much food for a tablespoon of olive oil you throw in. And a lot of it's hard to learn because you have to learn how to stir fry without oil. Well, you get a really, really good nonstick pan and you use waters and broths is how you do it. And because a lot of times you're like, it's just a tablespoon. It'll make all this taste better. If you're really obese, that 1 tablespoon will screw up your weight loss. I hate to be the messenger, but yeah, even that 1 spoonful will screw it up. So you got to pretty much try to stay away from it like the plague. And again, I said if you were in better shape and you're not obese, you can get away with that, and it's not really going to mess you up that bad. But, if you are trying to lose weight, any kind of oil and fat is not your friend. I don't care how healthy or, you can, like I always joke that you'll get a grass-fed and organic diabetes. Yeah, it could be the best clarified butter from the happiest cows on the planet, but it's still still going to give you diabetes, Anyway, yeah, Ben says oil processing is not natural. So what I'm doing, some of you guys, you could be a fat vegan and eat vegan junk food, and that was my problem. All right, so I went on this fast. I lost a bunch of weight. Some of you guys know that I did that 42-day fast, and then like the last 2 days, I went out and broke my foot. I shattered it, and it was crippling, and it was painful, and it was horrible. It really just was so painful. I ate good for a few weeks, but it was the boredom, and I went back into my routines of sitting. All right, so I couldn't even, like, I don't want to say it, but I'm going to say it. I was like peeing in a bottle kind of hurt, where it was so much pain to go to the bathroom that I pretty much only did it to go number 2. It was, the trip down the hall was not worth it, the pain level. And so, like, I had to wait, and because my body's kind of messed up, it took forever just to even heal this thing. I'd say my ankle's about like 60%. So I sat on a couch for 4 months, watched TV, and just ate crap. It slowly crept in. I started having, like baked chips. Well, that's a lot better. That's not, that's not all those oily chips, but, they still eat a whole bag, and before you know it, the bag's gone. It's like comfort food, or you eat popcorn, but it's a little buttery, and then, the oil creeps in, and it's really easy to put back on the weight. So what happened with me is I started putting on a lot of weight over the year, and I was like, what the hell? But I also knew I had zero activity, and I was sitting on a couch. Not that that's an excuse. I still could have controlled what goes in my mouth. But it's one of those things where you lose the motivation. It was like a depressed... being immobile is depressing, and it's upsetting, and being in pain like that. So my heart really goes out to people that have been in nasty accidents or something, like they have to live like that their whole life. I don't know how y'all do it. I mean, my heart goes out to you, because that is tough. So Warhammer. I'm having a coffee and cigarette. All right, sorry, Warhammer. Hey, you don't have to agree with me. I'm just telling you. All right, again, if you're just coming in, this is just me. This is what I'm doing. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm telling you why I think this. What's your opinion on TLC? Is he doing more harm than good? I don't know who TLC is. I think they're a band from the 90s, right? Yeah. TLC was I think they're the ones with Waterfall, if I remember right. I don't know. It's the One Eye Lopez, is that right? Left Eye Lopez? One Eye Lopez. Sounds like a pirate. All right. So anyway, here's my experience. I decided I have experimented with lots of ways to eating, and I will lose weight on most of them, but I don't enjoy it. Like, I have gone raw, and you will lose weight pretty fast, but it's not satisfying, and I can't find dishes where I really like them. I do feel it's one of the healthiest ways to eat on the planet, but it's really hard. I can't sustain it. I can't make my mind happy with it. I've gone low carb. I've done the whole, Atkins thing and the paleo crap. All those things 10 years ago, I did all that stuff. It just comes back in different names. And it left me very unsatisfied. It really made me toxic. And as soon as you get tired of it and stop, you just balloon because you've made yourself so toxic. Now understand, if you have a meal of bacon, or you have a meal of chicken or whatever, you got to remember that that animal has eaten and concentrated all the toxic stuff in its environment into its body. So when you eat it, you're getting like a super dose of pesticides and chemicals and processed, whatever the hell they're eating that's processed, the processed feed they're giving them. All that stuff is concentrated. So when you eat meat, you're eating concentrated toxic stuff. And as you eat a lifetime of that, that doesn't go away because you're super concentrating their toxic stuff. Where if you eat plants, you have a lot less dose of toxicity. And when I talked about in the beginning that, I led a heavy meat diet, heavy, party, heavy junk food diet, just tons of processed food and chemicals. That stuff never really got out of my body that well, so I've been trying to fast it out. As time goes on, it builds up and it gets harder and harder to get rid of. So at my age, I'm 45 now, I've got to really work at it. Now, if you keep it up for a year or two, there's a tipping point where you finally get clean enough that your liver's like, I got it from here, and it kicks in and starts working again good. So there is a tipping point where the more weight you lose, the faster and easier it will come off to an extent until you hit like a plateau. And we'll talk about plateaus too later. They're usually, in my experience, they're usually like hitting toxic pockets where some sort of fat cells have released into your bloodstream and you're just holding massive amounts of water and chemicals until that stuff comes out. Thank you. I appreciate that, Saggy. So, yeah, bacon, Ben, it's really tough to get rid of. And so that's a really, that was a bitch to give up. But I've been, for you guys who don't know, I've been meat-free about 4 years. And I was a big meat eater, and I enjoyed it, and I liked the taste. So I don't get on here and preach to people about if they're still eating meat, telling them, how horrible of a person they are or anything like that. I'm not that kind of person because it would be pretty damn hypocritical for me to get up here and say that. I made changes in my personal life, and this is what I'm doing because it makes logical sense to stop eating toxic, concentrated chemicals in meat. And to me, it's just on the same platform as junk food. It's like, am I going to go out there and eat, Reese cups for dinner? No. Even though I'd want to, but no. It's the same kind of toxic load of, am I going to eat all this bacon? that God knows what the hell a pig's eating. I've been to pig farms, and you should see some of the stuff they feed them. It's called slop for a reason. Slop the pigs. So, you know, it was one of these things that I decided to change for myself. Oh, Rosie, thanks for coming in. Rosie, I'm doing mainly a starch solution diet. So I am a huge fan of fasting. I've been using it my whole adult life. I just don't do it serious enough that I'm getting the benefits I want, so I just got to get back in a routine. Last year I was doing what's called every other day fasting, intermittent fasting. And there's different kinds of intermittent fasting, and it got all hot again I think a few years ago it got really hot, and now it's still hot. But we learned about it. I learned to first introduced to it in chiropractic school about 20 years ago. I'd taken a health class, and they taught us about fasting and how to use it on patients and stuff like that. And so I started using it about 20 years ago on and off, but I just didn't do it enough because I was still pretty thin at the time. I felt pretty good, and I was like, you know, I like food. I don't want to stop eating. And as I got fatter and out of shape and more toxic, I had to fast more. And last year, it got bad where I decided to fast a lot. And I was fasting every other day. And I was eating whatever I wanted the following day. So I really wasn't losing that much weight because I was losing a little bit, you know, maybe like a half pound a week or something. But it wasn't like anything to write home about. But what it allowed me to do was maintain and eat what I wanted. So it was like I used fasting as an excuse to not control my eating and do what I want. And then finally I got pissed off and was like, you know what, I'm doing a long fast. And I did a 42-day fast where I lost a lot of weight. And that was pretty hardcore. I don't recommend that to people unless you have fasted a lot in your life. You will hate it. It's not an easy thing to do. And I did pretty good with that. But then I just got back into the habits, slowly eating, allowing junk food and oils and all that crap to come back in my life. And it crept up on me. So now I'm at the point where I'm like, all right, I have to do something because 5 years from now, I'm going to be a diabetic with really bad, you know, problems, if I'm not already, honestly. So, no saggy, it was dry and wet. I alternated, but yeah, 42 days straight without food. And I think if you go back on my channel and look a year, you'll see me going through it. So I did a deep fast like that because my liver has been bad since high school. I grew up eating processed food. Then I discovered beer when I was playing rugby in high school, and we binge drank for fun. Like we played drinking games and stuff like that. So I'm eating processed food and drinking insane amounts of alcohol. And then in college, rugby got crazy, those parties, and we drank like fishes. And then the day I quit college, I was like, you know, I was a social drinker, so it's no fun for me to drink without friends around. And when I moved and got married and all that crap, I didn't want to drink anymore, so I stopped. But the damage had been done. All that weight I'd put on in college. And people are always like, you know, the women go to college and men and get the freshman 15, they call it. It's because they eat a bunch of processed food and drink nonstop. That stuff socks on weight. And it's not just because of the empty calories, it's also because of all the toxic crap and the way it clogs your liver up. So, so what happened was that I'm back now, and the one thing I think I'm missing, and I keep saying, is that I think I'm missing a community to keep me responsible. Like, where I don't slide back. I created a Discord community. If you don't know what Discord is, it's like a group chat. You can get in there and you can talk. It's like either a group phone call or a group text. But if you're kind of in the same boat where you kind of tried everything and you're interested in a plant-based diet because this makes logical sense to you, it's like, okay, I could see how oils cause a lot of problems. I could see why meat would destroy my liver and make me more toxic. You know, it's concentrated chemicals. If that stuff makes sense to you, then come on over and check it out, because we'll post recipes. We'll try to help get you started. And there's a lot to transitioning to a plant-based diet can be kind of hard and uncomfortable for people in the first week or two. If you've never eaten fiber and you start adding fiber, you will feel bloated and farty and all this stuff that you know, I wish people had told me when I went on a plant-based diet, because it's like, man, I feel crappy. But once your bacteria changes in your gut from meat eating bacteria to plant eating bacteria, all that stuff gets a lot better and easier, and then you start feeling great. Um, so that's the dealio with that, is that it is a this is my process. So I'm doing this as much to help myself, but also to help anyone that wants help, because it's a lot more fun to go through together. Wow, thank you, Rosie. I appreciate the donation. Been a damn long time. I think I haven't had a donation in about a year. Thank you. So the thing about this is, I've come to a point where I realize that I need help to do this. I can't do it alone. I've tried doing it alone over and over and over, and I think I need a community to do it with. And that, the other thing is, I kind of create my own jobs and my own thing, and a lot of times you can lose a purpose in life, and it's devastating. I know this is going to sound sexist, but it's more devastating, I think, sometimes for men, because if you've ever been married to a man and he just goes into a funk for 5 or 10 years and has his midlife crisis and all that stuff that they say, it's usually because they've lost a purpose. They're stuck at a job they hate. They don't identify themselves. They don't feel like they have a purpose in life. And so it is one of those things that I wrestle with. I can't have balance in my life unless I understand what my purpose is. Now, my purpose can change. One year I could do this and next year I could do that. I feel like when I took this job coaching rugby, I feel like I have a purpose again. I know what I am. I'm a rugby coach, But when you don't have a purpose in your life, you just kind of drift and bad things start happening. Like, it's really, really easy to do nothing. And not just do nothing, but not actually do a lot of negative stuff to yourself. You just are like, I don't care anymore. I'm going to do what I want. I'm going to eat what I want. I'm going to still eating like I'm a 20-year-old teenager, You can't do that when you're 45. And what is Saggy saying? Men have a midlife crisis because they have the time to do that. Women don't have the time. Well, that's pretty funny. It's probably accurate. There are women. There is definitely a million women I've met over my life that have terrible marriages and don't like their lives, and so they're not immune. But what I really notice is men hitting their midlife crisis and going through some of that. So I understand that a lot, honestly. Hey, thanks for the donation, Warhammer, over at D-Life. Thank you. I think I've lost my purpose this year because if you asked me what I do for a living, I couldn't tell you. I do like 20 things. If you ask me what my YouTube channel is about, I really can't tell you. It's like about whatever I feel like talking about. That's the best answer I could give you. If you ask some people what their YouTube channel is, they're like, oh, I have a tech channel. I review cameras. Or, I have a entertainment channel. I sit here and I tell jokes. Or I have a conspiracy channel. I talk about this. If you ask me, it's like I have philosophy on here. We have esoteric stuff on here. I've got food stuff on here. I've got health advice on here. And most of my stuff's gardening. It's like, what the hell is that channel about? I don't know. It's whatever I feel like talking about is what it's about. So it's the same in my life. And I think that, a lot of people wait till like January 1st to do all their goals and stuff like that. And I'm trying to get a jump start so I can mitigate the damage of the holidays and get a head start on what I want to do. And I think what has to happen this year, it has to be the year where I get my health back and my body back and I lose weight. And that, I think, has to become my new purpose. Because if I do not move it to the very front, it gets pushed to the back. Like something else will come up where, I have to do make money. I have to go be a chiropractor. I have to go do a job. I got to do something else. Something always is there to take the place of keeping this. So the reason I am going to start doing these videos, and I'm going to start being a lot more active in Discord group, is because it keeps me focused and it helps me say, this is my purpose. And I think my new purpose for next year and starting now will be to get my health back and help anyone that wants to come along the way. Like, I feel really good when I can help people. And if you've never been overweight you really don't understand the emotional junk that goes with it, and the psychological damage, and just like the other crap that's involved with being overweight. It is so hard, and I get what you're going through. I mean, every outfit you try, you hate. You don't want to look at yourself in the mirror like, geez, I can't even fit in these pants anymore. What the hell happened? I'm not doing anything different. I'm eating the same things. I'm still gaining weight. What the hell? I'm eating health food and I'm still gaining weight. What the hell? You know, I'm told these meals are healthy and they're still making me fat. What the hell? So it's an experiment of, you have to find what your body likes. And I'm going to give you this advice, and I think this is, this might maybe help people. And sorry, I'm going to bounce over to Rosie's question for a sec. Yeah, Rosie, I'm still going to have a variety channel, but I'm going to add this part to it. That there is a community out there, people that want to know what I'm going through, and maybe you're going through this themselves, and maybe they can hear some advice and it'll help them. And then that, I feel like, will give me a purpose, and it'll help keep me talking and focused about it. Because if I don't talk about it, I'm going to sound like a broken record, because I'm always talking about weight loss. But if I don't, it's going to start becoming out of mind, and then I stop caring about it. So I have to push it up front and kind of almost become obsessive and talk about it to keep it as a focus, so I don't lose focus on it. Hopefully that makes sense. Where am I going with this? So that's the process I'm going to be going through the next year. You're welcome to. I'm hopefully maybe do like a weekly check-in or just talk, or every few weeks. And eventually I'll make like a before and after video, but there's no way I'm doing that until I'm successful at it. It's nothing to be like, you know, hey, I lost a pound, hey. So let me tell you about my experience. Here's what I'm doing. And this is probably what I'm doing, so you do not have to transfer that to what you have to do. You find your own path, but here's what I'm doing. I know how my brain works. If I touch oil and fat, I will go into super overeating mode. So I put that out of my life. You need to find, Carla says she needs to find something that's healthy because of celiac. Is that what you said? Let me jump over to that. I need to figure out a healthy diet for myself that doesn't tank my blood sugar, because it's really hard with celiac. Yeah, you need to go, again, the most uninflaming foods. You basically want to work against inflammation. So things that inflame you with celiac or food sensitivities, you really, really want to learn how to fast. Fasting will help you a lot. Just stop eating. And some people are on meds. Some people have, major blood sugar issues where they can't handle that. I get that. And there are ways to work around that. But what I would tell you to do then is maybe go on what's known as a fruit or a vegetable fast, where you eat nothing but raw fruit and vegetables for a week or two until the inflammation comes down. That way you're still eating. You're eating the healthiest food on the planet. No one's going to tell you, hey, don't eat fruits and vegetables. I mean, if your doctor says don't eat fruits and vegetables, you got a problem. You know, that's like that's like day one stuff. You know, of course eat fruits and vegetables, but what happens is we don't have the discipline to do it, because it's very difficult to be like, okay, my dinner's going to be 3 oranges. You know, you're going to be like looking at your husband who's got a T-bone steak and potatoes, and you're going to be like, oh, and here's my oranges. But what it does is it resets your it's going to take some willpower, but it resets what you're going to do, and it takes the inflammation level down. Then you can start introducing more dietary changes that will be much easier to accept. When you have food sensitivities and celiac and Crohn's disease and IBS, if you do not deal with the inflammation first, you are going to have a hell of a time reversing it. It's really, really tough. Okay. So let's talk about, Godzilla, if you're just coming in, yeah, I have a group over at Discord. If you want, I can post in a link. If you guys want to join that, you're welcome to. It's a chat group, and everybody's friendly. We watch it there. It's like, I hate to use the term a safe place, but it kind of is. So, let me dump that, you know, make sure no one's disrespectful or mean over there. And there it is. If you want to join it, it's in the link right now. So what I'm doing, I keep going back to this, is I know I do really well fasting. And my liver's toxic as hell from a lifetime of drinking, and not drinking, but mainly eating fast food and junk food and whatever, unhealthy stuff. So I have to focus on liver health. Although I can lose weight, I will just rebound and put it all on if I don't take care of the toxicity issue. So to ease into it, I am doing intermittent fasting where I eat every other day. Now, some of you guys watching are like, I can't skip a whole day without eating. I got meds I got to take, or I got pills I got to take, or I just can't get over that feeling of not eating food, or whatever the reason. You can do what's called, intermittent fasting, where you're just doing 12 hours. Put it around your pills, where you have your breakfast, you take your pill, you have your dinner, you have your pill, and then you stop. There is no snacking, and you make sure that you get at least 12 hours of not eating. That will slowly start to help. Believe it or not, just like 12, ideally 18 is really kind of where the sweet zone is for cells cleaning themselves up. But I go to 36 because I do one entire day without eating, but the day before I stop at 9 o'clock at night, and then the morning I start eating again. I don't eat until at least 9, so I get an extra 12 hours in by doing that. So it costs it's 36, and then what happens is that you can start. Most people can handle a half day. Most people can handle 18 hours, and then once you do it for a week or two, you're like, oh, I can handle a day. And then you start going, I can handle 2 days, and I can handle 5 days, and I can handle a week, and I can handle 2 weeks, and you build up. The longer you fast, the more your liver will dump and clean house. Remember my example of the hoarders, where I talked about like living with a hoarder, and the hoarder brings in packages every day for 5 times a day for 40 years. It's going to take a long time to clean that hoarder's house. Well, your body's that same way. You've been eating 4 to 5 times a day. It's going to take a while to clean that out. But giving your body a break and stop ordering packages, stop putting in the crappy food that's toxic, you will eventually win that battle. And your liver's very resilient. It'll start to clean up and getting better. So that's the deal. I am what I do for me personally is I do fasting every other day, and when the days I eat starch solution. If you don't know what that is, starch solution is a Dr. McDougall kind of diet. Well, it is his diet. I have tried other vegetarian diets and vegan diets, and it's the one I like the best because I get to eat potatoes, I get to eat pasta, I get to eat rice, and I lose weight eating rice and potatoes and pasta. So that whole lie about carbs make you fat is a bunch of crap, because there's no way I should be losing weight eating these things, but I am, because I don't touch the oil. And that is what I do on my eating days. I keep a little track on, there's something called Chronometer, which is a free website if you want to track it. It actually has a vegetarian diet option where you can hit it, and it's, what I like to do is follow the 10-80-10. That's kind of the standard of a lot of vegetarian diets, is 10% protein, 80% carbs, under 10% fat. That's what I eat a day. And it charts it for me automatically. I also have a goal for, weight I'm trying to lose, so I try to stay under about 1,800 calories. And if you eat just, basic foods, 1,800 calories is a lot of food. You can eat a lot of potatoes, you can have a lot of oranges, you can have a lot of, rice. It's surprising how much food is in that. That's for me. Now, I wanted to lose weight fast to motivate myself, but I also really knew that I had to fast while I do it, because I will just balloon right back up. Picture it like salt, okay? These chemicals act a lot like salt. So you can take a cup of salt water and pour out just the water so it's still just as concentrated of salt. And then, like, if I add water, it'll go right back to what it was. But that concentration of salt's still the same. And that's the same way with a toxic liver, is you have to detoxify the liver in order to get it a real change. And fasting is pretty much the best way to do that. You can take vitamins that do it, liver cleansing and stuff, but it's kind of like a Band-Aid. I mean, I use liver cleansing vitamins sometimes when I start, but after a month or so, I'm done with them. You know, they'll help kickstart me if I'm having a real hard time. So if you guys have questions, that is what I'm doing. If you want to learn more about it, you're like, what? You're lying. How do you eat potatoes, starch, and and lose weight? It is true. I am down, let's see, 7 pounds this week. I gained a few because I think I dropped some and then I gained some back because I had a lot of salt. Salt's my enemy right now. I love salt, and it's hard to give up, and I'm not ready to give it up. So I had a pretty salty dip yesterday, and I think it affected my weight loss because I just stayed the same. But I'm drinking an insane amount of water today and fasting to try to flush that out. And I think next time I'm going to use less salt, and next time I'm going to use less salt, and I'm going to get to a point where I don't need salt. But it takes a while. It looks like you have muscles. Yeah, I have. All right, so I'm a heavy guy, but I'm also pretty damn muscular as far as for doing nothing. I put on a lot of muscle when I was a kid and being an athlete for 20 years. And that muscle kind of stays. All right, so let me explain how this works because it's going to sound strange. How can you be fat with muscle? But you can. All right. When you eat a lot of inflammatory foods, and there's certain foods you can eat that create what's known as insulin growth factor. Insulin growth factor is basically what all the bad stuff that grows in your body is from. Insulin growth factor, when you trigger it, it makes everything grow. It makes your bones grow. It makes your muscles grow. It makes your fat grow. Really, your fat grow. So, and if you have cancer cells, guess what it does? It makes cancer grow. It makes things grow. So when I got fat, I was jacking full of I was eating a lifestyle that was promoting insulin growth factor and giving myself insulin resistance while I'm doing it. And that's like, the typical standard American diet does that. So my muscles grew with my fat. I started getting, I've got big muscles. If I could lose just the fat and keep the muscles, I'd look like a bodybuilder. But I don't really want that huge size. I don't think if I did, I don't know. Like, I do like bodybuilders, but I don't want to have to keep that up. I actually wrestled with going to a gym today. I'll talk about that too. We'll talk about that. So everything grows, but what is dangerous is cancer cells grow. And a big thing is you can have all kinds of predispositions to cancer. You can have cancer cells starting, but until you tell them to grow, they don't really grow. And IGF-1, it just makes them grow fast. So your diet can cause cancer to really rocket in your body. You have to be real careful about that. And the way I'm talking about eating is clinically proven to bring down the IGF level. Gosh, man, I'm so tongue-tied today. It's proven to bring those levels down. And so if you have cancer growing in your body, it can sometimes shrink. And a lot of people have cancer, don't know it. It can save you from that. So just the insulin growth factor is really just kind of bad news, man. It makes everything grow. So as I lose weight, I'm hoping, and the insulin growth factor goes down, that I will lose some muscle with it, I'm sure. But I'm okay with that. I just want to drink. Saggy says drink spearmint tea for focus. I do love spearmint tea, but when I fast, I do a water fast. I don't even touch teas, so I don't eat anything. Nothing that will make my brain think that it's going to get a meal, because it sets up the digestion process and it makes you get cravings and hungry during your fast. So the only thing I touch is water. I don't touch anything else. No vitamins, no teas, nothing. Water, and even some days I do a dry fast and I don't do any water. Where am I going with this? You guys help me out here. There was somewhere I was going with it. Oh, so I'm trying to think. All right, one of the things I talked about in my group was, when I'm coaching rugby, it forces me to get out of the house. It forces me to go run around on the field for, an hour, at least walk around. And I might not be running with the team, but I'm moving back and forth where they're going, or holding a pad and getting hit, or whatever. But I'm doing exercise. I'm getting out. Warhammer, shut up. He says, speaking of focus, and he's laughing at me. Yeah, my brain's a little wacky. It'll be that way for a few weeks probably until I get it down. So what happens is that I feel like, even though it's been years since I've lifted weights. I'm trying to think. It's at least 5 years, maybe 10. I'm not a huge fan of lifting weights. I find it kind of boring. But in the winter, I don't know what else to do to get out of the house and make myself stay on a routine where I'm doing some sort of exercise and getting up out of a chair. Because for some of you guys to know that I create content, but I also write. And over the winter, I will sit in a chair and write 10 hours a day. And that's not good. I need to get up and move around. So I'm trying to, I went and looked at a gym today. Even though I really don't like lifting weights, I'm thinking to myself, I'm just going to force myself to set a time where every day I have to be there. Just like a practice, I don't know. I'm playing with the idea. Wade says he's cold. Gonna put a kettle on. Yeah, Saggy, I like teas. I like herbal teas, but not while I'm fasting. I will eat them on the days I can have food. So, I'll drink them. So I'm down with tea. I'm just, what happens is your body, when you fast, it talks to itself in a way where it's saying, it sends chemical messages saying, okay, no food is coming in. Liver, this is your chance to go to work and clean house. And so the liver kicks on and starts cleaning up shop. If I stick a gum in my mouth, my saliva and or I put something flavored in my mouth, I drink a flavored, even though it's 0 calorie, I drink, I don't know, a Canadian Dry that has some sort of juice flavor. Anything that triggers a response that says, hey, stomach, food's coming, the stomach will shut down and the cleaning process stops and the I'm getting ready to digest process comes on. So you'll stick a stick of gum in your mouth and you will ruin hours of your fast because it takes a while for it to go from digestion mode back to healing mode and cleansing mode. And so what'll happen is I'm really strict that when I fast, it is nothing but water. No teas, no flavored teas, none of that. Just suck it up and drink water. Stop trying to make it into something. Just enjoy the experience. Water. Or no water if you're going to dry fast. What that does is keeps your cleansing going all day long. If I'm constantly every few hours adding a little thing here, stick a gum or a mint or I'm doing something that my brain is going to interpret as, oh, get ready, food's coming, we got something in our mouth, boom. That it goes into digestion mode. So that will really rip you out of fasting mode. So first week, I'm like I said, 7 pounds down. I think I had too much salt, so I'm trying to blast that out. I'm going to try to use less salt next time. So that is my goal. If you guys have any questions, I'm listening. But otherwise, I think that's all I wanted to say. And if you want to keep talking to me, I am over in the Discord group right now. You just go over there and say, hey, I saw you. What's going on? And I'll talk back to you. I don't add salt to food. Yeah, I would love to get that, Saggy. I haven't got to the point where I can go some foods without salt, but it's just like something's missing. But what's crazy is when I do my long fast, everything's super salty. Like I could barely eat a piece of celery. I was like, oh. So once you get off it, your body adjusts. what it says is that it takes about a month to get to desensitize to salt. It takes about 3 months to desensitize to oil. Salt will be a much more difficult desensitization for most people. They will eat food and be like, I don't like it. It doesn't taste right. Something's wrong with this. I don't know if I can do this. I'm just going to add a little salt. It's a tough thing. People are very, very addicted to salt, the way it tastes. Where oil is a longer process, but it's easier. If you have, like, say you air fry some French fries compared to deep frying them traditionally in oil, they will taste very different. You'll get them out and you'll be like, these fries, they definitely taste different than oiled fries. But you salt them up and season them, you're like, these are pretty damn good. All right, I can go oil free. This ain't that bad, as long as I can season these things. So it's one of those deals where you have to find a way. Eventually, my goal is going to be finding seasonings that replace salt that give me as much pleasure. And the problem is I don't like hot, spicy stuff. Everybody usually switches to srirachas and spice, and I don't like that stuff. So it's been more of a struggle. I've been using garlics and onion powders and things like that. Okay, what do you got? Rosie says, I like coffee with my sugar kind of diet. Well, all right, if you like your sugar diet and your coffee. And again, you guys, I'm not going to tell you what to do. You're grown-ass adults. You do what you want. Here's what I'm telling you how it works in your body. That coffee will destroy your adrenal glands, will wreck your cortisol, which then turns around and wrecks the neurotransmitters in your brain. Then will screw up your... once your cortisol levels get shot, it'll screw up your sex hormones big time. It'll make you... it can really affect your menses. It can affect you holding a pregnancy. All kinds of bad things happen when your cortisol's out. And then on top of that, you switch over to burning adrenaline. So let's talk about this. I'm going to give you the coffee come to Jesus talk. All right, so when your brain sleeps, so you don't die, you have to burn glucose. Your brain's active at night, keeping your respiration going, you're dreaming, you're having your spiritual walk, whatever you're doing. And that takes energy. So it's going to burn glucose. Now, cortisol is the thing that tells it, hey, brain, burn glucose. It is used in this process to keep the brain fed. The brain's saying, hey, I need energy. The adrenals hear the message, release cortisol, and eventually glucose gets to the brain. So this pathway happens while you sleep. If you live on coffee and you live on you stress yourself out really bad at work or life, you will eventually run out of the ability to make cortisol. You'll burn out your adrenal glands, it's called. Your adrenal glands just can't keep up with the demand, and they just stop making it. When that happens, your brain says, I still need glucose. If you don't feed me glucose, we're all going to die. What else can I use to get glucose to burn? And its next choice is adrenaline. So adrenaline is your fight or flight response. When you release adrenaline, you'll burn some damn sugar for sure. You'll burn some glucose. But the problem is it sends you into a flight and fight response. So this is the person who cannot go to sleep, and then when they finally go to sleep, they wake up in the middle of the night. They're sweating, they're freaked out, they're having like a nightmare, anxiety. They wake up with a feeling of anxiety. You were burning adrenaline instead of glucose, and it's probably started because you drink a lot of coffee. Coffee is a bastard at wrecking your cortisol levels. So if you're the kind of person that can eventually fall asleep, but you wake up with like you wake up and you're up, whoa, I'm up now, you're burning adrenaline, you're not burning cortisol. So that's an important lesson for coffee drinkers. Now, coffee It's funny. I mean, you talk about it's hard to get off sugar. Like, people will fight you for their damn coffee. They will make, they will, doc, please, anything. What can I do to keep drinking coffee? You know, it's like, okay, this stuff's poisoning you. Stop drinking it. Yeah, but what can I do to poison it less? There's got to be. Can I get an organic coffee and this stuff from the Himalayas? And I'll get a decaf. No, decaf still has 40% caffeine. You can't do that. But it's called decaf. No, but it still has 40% caffeine. So you just end up drinking twice as much. You know, like, it's so it's this huge fight. But I understand addiction's a bitch, and I want to get some. I'm gonna hopefully get some guests on that specialize in addiction and overeating and stuff like that, because it's a bitch, and a lot of addiction is straight up chemical processes. It's that your neurons are rewired to want this stuff to feel normal, and it feels like crap as they stop. So one of the things that's really good about a plant-based diet, though, is it takes your body to an anti-inflammatory state. Inflammation, a full body inflammation, also affects your brain and your it affects your neurons, your brain. You can get inflamed in the brain. And when that happens, you will have a lot more anxiety, and things will not work like they should in your brain. The neurotransmitters don't work right in inflammatory conditions. And the problem is, some people are inflamed their whole damn life. They get born, their parents feed them a bunch of chicken nuggets and soda. They go to government school and they get God knows whatever the hell they feed them for 50 cents. You know, some sort of thing that resembles a food-like substance. Then they go out for ice cream with their friends after the ball game. They grow up eating pizza and trash and all that stuff, and they grow up with inflammation. And they end up being allergic to damn near everything. Eventually, these kids that are inflamed grow into adults who are chronically inflamed, and then have kids, and they pass all these inflammatory markers and antibodies to their kids, and their kids come more food sensitive and allergic. And then the next generation passes it down till we have generations where kids have 50 food allergies, you know. So it's a tough, nasty little thing to deal with. And so that's a whole nother talk about how you can pass your inflammation down to your child. Your people don't like to hear that talk, but it's a fact. It definitely happens. You pass your antibodies and all that crap that because of your crappy lifestyle that you let your child inherit. So, that being said, is there any other questions? Oh, Wade the Canadian. I specialize in addictions and overeating. Oh, you mean someone who specializes in countering it? Wade, you're funny. Yeah, I specialize in it too. What I figured out is my overeating addiction comes from oil. That is my trigger. If I eat something that sneaks in, you know, it's been cooked in butter or whatever, like, oh man, Chinese food, right? I love Chinese and Asian food. But what do they start with? They throw a bunch of oil or lard, and then they cook a bunch of noodles in it. They stir fry it and pull it out. So when you eat it, you're like, this is the best food ever. But what happens with Chinese food? When do you want to eat again? Like an hour later. It's because it's so damn oily. That's why it's so good. So it's been taking a while to learn how to cook without it, but it really, really does help me. And that is my big trigger. And if I can not go down that road, my brain relaxes and my neurons relax. And that, you remember why I said that happens? It's because your cells are not getting the nutrition they want. And your brain's like, hey, eat again. You're not giving me what I want. Eat again. Eat again. I will literally eat something and be thinking about what can I eat next. Even though my stretch receptors are full and my stomach's full, I'm still freaking hungry. And that is caused, it took me a long time to figure out it's oil that's causing that. I always thought it was like, you know, oh, I ate too many carbs and I'm addicted to carbs and there's the sugar cravings. It's all that crap is because of the oil. It sets it in motion. So, and a lot of people will never believe that because they'll hear, oh, well, you can have all this healthy olive oil and you can have all this healthy coconut oil. It's great for you. It's got omega-3s. And it's like, have you looked at what oil does to your blood? You know, it's tough. Rosie. Yep, growing up poor, I had to eat a lot of O'Connor dinners. Are those oh, sorry, Encore dinners. Excuse me. Rosie, I have dyslexia, and sometimes when I read out loud, it doesn't go well. Encore dinners. My best friend at the time, Mr. Chef Boyardee, and ramen noodles. Yeah, and Rosie, I had a real problem, and I still have a problem. Was I grew up with four brothers, and my mom kind of we stopped. Food got to be a problem with four like hungry teenagers. If you didn't eat it when it came in the door, it was gone, and you didn't get food the next day. So we were all like fighting each other for, you know, if someone got that box of cereal, you'd sit down and eat the whole box of cereal because it wouldn't be there tomorrow. And it really created a lot of bad habits for me that I have a hard time with free food. Free food, even if I'm not hungry, I'm like, that's free. You know, I'll go to a buffet and I'll be like, but I paid $6 for this buffet. I'm going to eat as much as I can possibly stand to get my money's worth. And it's just a stupid childhood mentality that I now can recognize and see, but for a long time, it took me a while to figure out, you know, that crap, just because it happened to me as a kid isn't a good thing. You know, just because I grew up on ramen noodles and crappy TV dinners and stuff, it's not something I'm really proud of. You know, I wish I grew up on apples and fruit and never got obese. But that's just not in the cards for me. I wish I had known what I know now 20 years ago. They weren't really talking about this stuff. The internet wasn't available when I was a kid. You couldn't just get on and, you know, you talk to a kid now and they're like, oh, you're stupid. How did you not know that? And it's like, what do you mean? That information didn't even exist when you were, you know, you weren't even born yet. It's like, I don't know. Because the information's so easy to get now, it's the opposite problem. There's so much information you have to figure out what's true and what's not. Yeah, so Rosie, I'm with you. I'm with you. And you know what's funny is those foods, like if you let me, I would eat ramen noodles every day. They're still very addicting to me. Even though they're poor, like college food, I still enjoy it. Like if you let me, I would eat peanut butter jam, you know, jelly sandwiches every day. It's just all that sort of stuff, but that stuff is bad, man. Yeah, Mountain Cat, even the fish oils, believe it or not, because they're usually like tablespoons of oil straight, that stuff clogs your blood. It'll start it up. If you're really, you know, if you have obesity problems. If you're fit, it doesn't usually hit as hard. But if you're already obese and you take that stuff, even like, you'd be surprised, even us. Because, you know, you take 2 big horse tablets full of these omega-3s for fish oil and stuff, and it really affects you, your blood. Yeah, I grew up on pasta and lots of meats. That's what Saggy says. And Sonia says, ramen noodles are delicious. I do love ramen noodles. The only issue I have, Sonia, is, I don't know if you ever noticed, if you turn ramen over, the way they make it and preserve it is they fry it. If you look, it's like something like 8 or 9 grams a serving of fat. And you're like, why the hell do these noodles have fat? And that's because ramen has a really strange history. I can't believe I know this, but they, after Japan suffered from the war, they were bringing in a lot of wheat. And Japanese are not wheat eaters. They are rice eaters. So they were trying to find a way to get the Japanese to eat wheat. So they made them into noodles. And the way to ship them and preserve them over was someone figured out if you flash fry them, ramen preserves. And so that's how Asians started eating wheat instead of rice noodles. It's because kind of the U.S. forced it on them. And now it's part of their culture, and people think it's like a Japanese noodle. It's like, well, sort of. so ramen's fried. So what I did is, Sonia, is I switched over to rice noodles that's not fried. And then I just learned how to flavor it well, so it's pretty damn close. Like, it's not ramen, but it's damn close. If you throw the seasonings in, your brain will be good. Ah, Vicky finally showed up. What's up, Vicky? Vicky's been really good, though. She's been working out like a mad woman. So, Vicky's my mod over on DLive and on YouTube. Thank you for modding. I appreciate that. Always appreciative of you. Um, Also, fish oil, man, I don't trust it. Even though people are like, it's good for you. It's omega. There's so much better omega 3s. Go eat some chia seeds. If that's what you want. It's they're. I just do not trust. I don't care if they say they purify them or not. It's that thing I was talking about in the beginning that it's concentrated like gunk. I don't. I would never trust fish oil, man. And plus you can get much better benefits plant based. Honestly, just go get some flaxseed oil, or you wouldn't really even need that much if you switched over to a plant based diet that included a lot of stuff. That a lot of people take omega 3s because they're in a chronic inflammation state. Their omega 6s are skyrocketing, and so they take these oils to help prevent heart disease because they don't want the inflammation. They want something to counter the inflammation. How about just not eating that inflames you? If you don't create an inflammatory system, you don't have to stuff yourself full of fish oils to take the inflammation out. It's one of these things that the omega 3 people like. When I used to eat eggs, you could buy kinds that they fed the chickens omega 3 flaxseed, and the eggs were considerably less inflammatory and better. And I was a fan. If you were going to eat eggs, I was like, eat those. They're much better than the inflammatory kind, but they're not less toxic. You're still going to get the toxic concentration of eating meat. You understand? Like, an animal will graze a certain area and pick up all the crap that it's been eating and concentrate it in their liver, and that doesn't go away. It stays there, and then when you eat their body, you're getting their toxicity. And so it's tough. Fish makes your body feel good. Yeah, and Mountain Cat, you do your thing. I'm not telling you how to change your diet or do whatever you want to do. I'm just telling you the science. If it makes you feel good, have at it, man. That's it. So let's see. Sonia says I eat rice noodles too. There are wheat ramen noodles that aren't fried. Oh, Sonia, I didn't know that. The only ones I've ever seen, like, Sonia, I'm used to the ones that are like 10, 15 cents. Probably the ones that aren't fried are probably like health store, whole food noodles, right? They're like a lot more expensive, I would think. But the kind of diet I eat, the high carb diet, is like the cheapest diet in the planet. I mean, you can get a huge bag of rice, a bag of beans, a bag of potatoes, and it's like $30, and that'll last you a month to two. It's ridiculous how cheap it is to eat that way. All right. Warhammer, what are you saying? That's how I end up with a lumpy dome. What the hell am I missing over here? D-Live. Oh, all right. So Vicky's over at D-Live talking about P90. I can't get the chat to work so everybody can see your chat. I don't know. Ever since Tidy changed the D-Live thing, I can't get into it and make it work anymore. I don't know. If you're listening, Tidy, help me out. Help a brother out so I can get my D-Live to work right. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I'm streaming this at two places. I'm not a huge fan of YouTube because they keep jerking people away and taking away their channels. And so I have been streaming over at D-Live, which is like uncensored YouTube. It's a great place to go. I love them. So I've been a lot more. If you're like, hey, why isn't you on YouTube anymore? It's because I'm over at D-Live. I've been streaming over there. All right. So if you have any more questions, I think that's about it. Unless you want to ask me something directly. And I will check in the next few days. Also, remember that the Discord over there is, you can check me out over there if you want. And get help if you're going through your own, if you're overweight or you just want to eat healthier or you want to learn about a plant-based diet. That is what that's for. If you want to learn about fasting, that's what that's for. So come on over if you're interested in those two things. That's what we'll be talking about. I'll be happy to give you all the support I can as I go through this myself. Oh, let's see. Hey, Michelle, what's happening, man? Been a long time. How are you? Sonia, absolutely. I that way most times. I loved ramen so much that I can go get a pack of non-fried ramen from the health food store once in a while. Sonia, actually, if it's non-fried, you can eat a ton of. It's the frying that really screws up ramen. I mean, you can eat away, man. So that's it. Saggy says YouTube is censorship. They took away. Oh yeah, they took away the All Stars for sure. Yeah, Vicky says that she likes fasting. She's gonna try that again soon. Yeah, again, it's easy. If you guys are have fasting questions and want to learn how to do it, you can come on over. I'll talk you a little through. But honestly, it's easy just to start with a few hours. You know, I'll try to go 12 hours. Stop eating at 6 at night, and then don't eat anything till 6 in the morning. Or, you know, make it simple. If you can pull 18 hours, it's even better. Or if you want to make it like I do, what my system is I don't eat on odd days. So any day that starts with a 1, a 3, a 5, I don't eat. And that makes it super simple. I just check the date. And what I do is I stack my work on my my fast days. So I keep busy and I don't think about food. So I will get on and I will create, you know, I'll either sit down and write, or I'll create a video, or I'll go out and do something I had to do, or I'll do some project around the house that I need to do. I make sure I do something every fast day to stay busy. Then on my eat days, I do whatever the hell I want. My eating days, I stay to my plan. You know, I stay to Starch Solution. I don't stray from that. I don't give myself permission to go out and have like 50 cookies or chips or whatever anymore. I used to do that. And it doesn't really work well. It'll work, but it's so slow it's not worth it. So my food days, I do that, and then I'll probably end up working out on my food days. So that just keeps it simple. And I never have to worry about what am I doing today, except I just look at the date. Is it odd or even? And that's what I'm doing. Rosie, thanks so much for the donation. I really appreciate you. And come on over to the Discord group. I'll drop the link in here one more time if you guys just came in. There it is. But I'm getting ready to sign off unless you have any other questions. I'm all done. So overall, pretty good week. Learning some stuff as I go, and I don't know everything, believe me. I'm always listening and willing to learn. But I have a strategy that works for me, and everybody has their own thing. So, like I said before, if something's working for you, stick with it. But I just know that what I'm doing is working for me. All right, love y'all. Yeah, not too interested in the dry fast. Hey, Lava, what's happening? That's true. Dry fast is a different animal. Reverend Hall, thanks. I appreciate you coming in. And Ben, I really appreciate you coming back too. It's been a lot of fun. I'll try to stream a little more. Maybe one of these times I'll do a nighttime stream so more people can come. Oh, you can see right here. I don't know if you can tell. I keep touching my ear. This is going to be fun. I don't know if you can tell my ear is much more red on this side than this side. When I fast, one of the places that heat up are my earlobes. They get super hot, like sizzling hot. And it's one of the things I get when I detox. It's pretty interesting. I guess because the blood flow is so close, you know. It's a strange reaction I get, but I know it's one of the things too. I know when I eat something inflammatory, it'll like poof, my ears will light up. Take my shirt off my next stream. Hell no, not until I'm fit. You know, I was talking with people, and it was really tough because I was cleaning out this hard drive, and my Mac computer died, and I had to basically like transfer all these old pictures I have from my Mac to my PC that I'm using now. And I found all these pictures like when I'm like in shape and ripped, and I'm like, oh man, it seems like a lifetime ago. How could I possibly get to that again? And, you know, I don't know. It's depressing, but it's also motivating. So I look at these pictures and I'm like, what do I do with these things? Do I look at them? Do I post them? You know, I'm a big believer in manifestation. Maybe if I look at these old pictures long enough, my brain will get tricked into thinking, that's who he is. That's what my body looks like. Instead of paying attention to what's in the mirror, I could pay attention. And because I've heard people that lose a lot of weight do that. They'll put up like old pictures of themselves. But I don't know if... Oh, Vicky, you don't believe I was ripped? Oh, she's like ripped. All right, let me see if I can find one picture. I'll show you one. I'll show you maybe one or two. But, so even when I was like in shape and I had like a six-pack or whatever, I was still super shy about ever letting someone take a picture of my shirt off. I think I only have like 2 or 3 that exists. Let me see if I can find one here. All right. Every time I picture the ripped image instead of law of attraction. Oh, well, when I say ripped, I meant like, you know, in shape. Well, it's not opening, so maybe I'm not going to show it to you. I don't know. I'm pretty embarrassed. I shouldn't show it to you. It's all weird. I always feel weird. Like, the guys that walk around with their shirts off or no sleeves, I always think they're kind of douchey. I have a hard time with that. I was like, here, man, I'll buy you some sleeves. Come on, man. So even when I was really in shape, I didn't. So I think this was... Oh, okay, so I don't have to prove it. All right, then I'm not going to show you. Cool. All right. I thought you were saying I was never ripped. I was like, no, there was a time I was. Not now. It must be not a Canadian thing. There should be a law to walk around with no shirt. What do you mean, saggy? Don't even need to lose weight with those big arms. Oh, come on. No, believe me. Here's the thing. Because people are very friendly. A lot of you guys have been super supportive, even at me being the fattest I've ever been. They're like, oh, you still look good. Don't worry about it. The problem is I don't feel good. Like, I compare myself in my brain to what I should look like and what I know I can look like. And it's just like a slap in my face every time I get dressed or every time I look in the mirror. It's, hey, man, you got no willpower or discipline to do this. It's, you know, you're not... In my brain, I'm a certain, like, fit guy when I grew up and what I used to be. And in my brain, I'm still that guy. And so when I see myself, it's upsetting and depressing. And it's like borderline body dysmorphia, you know, where you just hate what you've become. And I don't want to be that. And I think the only way I can have peace in my life is to get rid of this so I can look at myself and not be upset. If that makes sense. Because everybody's like, you know, you love yourself. Yeah, you say that. It's easy to throw around, but that's not how I really feel when I look at myself, you know? I'm more upset and disgusted with what I've allowed to happen because of just being lazy and making bad lifestyle choices over and over than loving myself. I can't. I don't feel that. You know, I love other parts about me, but not this. This is the one. You know, it's so stupid because I was so like master of willpower. You know, I mean, I had a practice that I made enough money to retire before I was 30. You know, I like was a go-getter, insane. I started rugby clubs. I played. I was always whatever the hell I set my mind to. I would not just get but crush. And then I got married, and then I got lazy, and then I got divorced, and then I got lazier. You know, like the last 15 years of my life, I would love to just hit a reset. You know, it's like, what happened to me, man? And so it's really upsetting to the point where I don't even want to be in pictures anymore. I don't want to do any of that. And so people are always like, you know, do it for your health. And that's not motivating unless I'm dying. If I have cancer or I'm dying or I mean, I'm sure I'm unhealthy inside, but until it completely affects me, it's not motivating enough. But the way I feel about myself when I look in the mirror is motivating enough. You know, I've hit my breaking point where I've had enough. And I think I have to hit that in order to pull the trigger and do it. So people are always like, you know, yeah, do it for the health. And, you know, health doesn't excite me. That's like telling someone to stop smoking for their health, you know. But if you say, you know, I don't know, stop smoking and that girl over there will get together with you. Yeah, then, you know, it's a more motivator or whatever. So it's one of these things that it haunts me every day. And if you've never been really fat, you don't get it. Because, like, you can't just go out and enjoy yourself. There's always somebody that looks at you wrong, or there's always you looking at yourself. You know, it's not just how people... Honestly, I could give a big FU to how people really judge me. It's more I judge myself, that I don't like who I am. Like, I wouldn't date me if I were me. I wouldn't... I would have a hard time. Even though I might have a good personality, all that stuff, it's not... I'm trying to say it's not the loving yourself part until I can look the way on that out. What is it? That cliche? You want to look the way you feel about yourself on the outside as you are on the inside. And so that's kind of what it is. And if that's the motivator, the button that sends it in motion, then that's what sends it in motion. So let's see. It's true that some people need actual fire under their asses to motivate them. Whatever works. Yeah, and that's it. Vicky, this is going to sound so bad. I don't know if I shouldn't talk about this on there, maybe. I don't know. Oh, well, we're having a heart-to-heart moment here. There was a girl I dated in college, and the end of the relationship was so dysfunctional and so messed up that I got so pissed off, I channeled all the energy into eating like a Nazi, eating really, really healthy, and just living at the gym. And I dropped like 30 pounds. I got all ripped. I was in the best playing condition I had been in, and the whole motivation is because I was pissed off at this girl. And so I used that pissed offness to to really do something positive with it. But people are like, that's unhealthy. You shouldn't do that. And it's like, you know, sometimes something negative turns out positive. It motivates you. Because when she came back to school, you know, I looked a lot better, and I was just big FU to her. But that was enough to motivate me, you know. And I know that sounds bad, but that's a 20-year-old boy's, you know, male's brain. That's how they think. Male, you know, don't try to analyze a 20-year-old man. They don't make much sense more than, you know, they might have one or two thoughts. There's never a big deep cascade of thoughts there. So that's pretty funny. Is just that I got really, really good shape. And you know what I did is it was in the 90s. So back in the 90s, the low-fat message was hot. There was, oh man, that really weird woman, the spiky haircut, Susan Powder, I think, was like yelling about fat. And there was all this stuff about, you know, low-fat biscuits and low-fat, you know, crackers and low-fat whatever. Low-fat was everywhere. People got the message that it worked. And then I was doing low-fat, and what I did is, this is going to sound weird, but I did nothing but white rice, and I had, because this is back when I was still eating meat, I had one piece of low-fat turkey, like one little slice of what you would put in a sandwich, like turkey meat or ham. I would tear it up, put it on the rice, season the rice with a little salt and pepper, and I'd eat that 3 times a day. And that's all I ate for an entire summer. And I did at least an hour of the Nordic track, you know, that cross-country ski thing, the fit ski. I did that, and I got like crazy in shape. And all I did was eat carbs, basically. I had a little meat, but it was mainly carbs. I mean, you're talking like almost no meat. And so that was that showed me that a carb diet works for me. Like a really high carb diet works really good for me. And that's what I'm trying to do now. If you want to learn about that, come on over to the Discord. We're talking about that. Body break with Joanne MacLeod. I don't know what that is, Lava. I'm not sure what you're talking about there. Michelle, I appreciate you. You know, one of my tails on my clock's not working. I really got to put that in. Sonia says, yes, Susan Powder. Like she's pouting. I think it was Power, maybe, or Powder. I can't remember, but I remember learning about it, and I was like, I think it was like a freshman in college. That's where I started it. And so, oh yeah, your sister has a nitrate allergy, and that's how I realized how bad those meats are. Oh man, lunch meats are like from the devil. Like processed, because you talk about processed food anyway, and then you process meat, which is super toxic, and you're making it more toxic. And then you're adding nitrates. It's like crazy toxic. And oh my goodness, the the stuff like in a piece of bologna, man. Jeez. Or the lunch meats that people feed their kids every day without thinking twice. Here, have this sandwich. And if you look at the actual classification, processed meat is, I think, a class 1 carcinogenic. It's basically the same as a cigarette. And I remember these ads that they used to put out with like cigarettes on a bun and being like, here, this is what you're feeding your kid. You're giving them a class 1 carcinogenic, feeding them a freaking hot dog. And it was, yeah, I mean, you guys, I mean, come on, it's common sense. The more you process and screw with food, the worse it gets. So you take something like meat that's already concentrated toxic stuff, and then you concentrate it more. It's going to be bad, man. But it's so, you know, nobody thinks twice about giving their kid a hot dog. They wouldn't even think twice. So, and don't get me wrong, there is vegan junk food. I got fat eating vegan junk food. I ate the hot dogs and everything that's bad, that's traditional food, is also a vegan version of it. So you can quite easily be a fat vegetarian and vegan like I've been, because I eat too much of that junk. But now I'm back to the basics. I'm back to just, you know, if you can't peel it or boil it, and you don't, like, if I can't pick it from my farm and eat it, you know, I don't eat it. Like, I know what a potato looks like. I know what an orange looks like. Oh, thank you, Michelle. By the way, I hope your channel's going good. I pop over there every once in a while. I see you guys. You get a pretty active channel. Good for you, by the way. So, blessings to you, Michelle. I'm glad to see your channel kicking butt. I keep trying to leave, but you guys won't let me leave. So, if you want to ask me any other question, yeah, it's work. Michelle says, yeah, having a channel's work. No crap. That's why I don't. Everybody's like, you should be on more. I was like, man, it's a lot of work. Especially live streaming really doesn't do much for my channel. It used to really boost my ratings and do stuff, but they changed the algorithms. Now it doesn't do anything. So, like, I really don't live stream much anymore because I get a lot more hits by making a story and publishing it than I do live streaming. Although I miss the community and taking questions and all that. Ben, yeah, wow, you didn't know that about vegan junk food. Yeah, because, all right, in order to make it, here's the way usually it goes. If you're trying to transition someone to a plant-based diet, you usually are fighting stubborn people with, you know, lifelong habits that they want what they want. They want a hot dog. Well, the way you get them to switch is say, try this meat-free hot dog, and it tastes pretty damn close. You know, 15 years ago, 10 years ago, the vegetarian stuff was pretty gross. It was like cardboard, but now they've got the formulas right where, like, if you go out and eat an Impossible burger, I think they're called, they taste just like real meat. I was like, holy cow, this burger's good. I can't believe how much this tastes like meat. So the vegan stuff, actually, do you remember when I was talking about the IGF, you know, the inner, I can't think of, my brain is not working well today. The glucose factor, the IGF, the growth hormone, man, what is wrong with my brain? I can't see. This is what fasting does. Sometimes I'm just not there today. Anyway, that damn hormone I was talking about before. So processed soy really spikes it. Isolated processed soy. So you can get really fat and unhealthy eating vegan junk food. It's in some cases worse than, in some ways, and some not. Is sometimes worse for you than the standard real stuff. But what it is it's a good step for transitional. So, like, if you can get someone eating vegetarian or vegan choices, then you can jump them to be like, hey, you know, your fake taco meat, well, what about if we replace it with mushrooms and beans today and see what you think? And you can get them transitioning to the healthier stuff. And that's kind of where I went. I started, and I ate way too much of the, because it's, you know, you want to eat chicken nuggets sometimes. And damn it, they got good vegan chicken nuggets. And they're loaded with oil, and they're loaded with salt. And just like all the stuff that's making me fat, it's going to keep me fat. It's just soy. And so that's it. But it's still a good transition. But I wouldn't stay on that long. I would move over to healthier and healthier choices the more you can. Vicky says to Michelle, editing is work. Yeah, hell yeah. Yeah, Michelle, it's fun to make videos, and the way YouTube is like you have to constantly make videos or your channel just starts to turn around and tank. It's a lot of work to keep a channel healthy and growing. But you're doing a good job. You're working your butt off at it. You're always making stuff. All right, so Saggy says even meat-free marketed stuff is bad. Yeah, stay away from that stuff. The alternative crap is bad, but just not as bad if you can read the ingredients. Yeah, you got to be careful with the meat-free stuff. I mean, again, it's still better than, it's less toxic than the animal stuff, but it's not necessarily better. It's sure as hell not better for weight loss. Like you're sometimes more fat eating that stuff because they load it with oils to replace that taste, so you get satiated. Hey, love, thanks for swinging through. And oh, you bet. Of course I support you, Michelle. All right. I am going to leave for good this time. 3, 2, 1, I'm closing it. So if you guys got any other questions, this was supposed to be just a quick fun, like, hey, how are you? This is what's going on in my life. So we'll take this up again. Anyway, I'll see you over at the Discord. Come on by. And if you're watching in some reruns, I'll see if I can post the link up in the Discord. Let me put that in there right now before I forget. This is the weight loss Discord. So if you're coming in there to talk about other things, don't. This is plant-based and fasting Discord. So if you want to come over there, and I have another Discord for other stuff that is everything else, but I'm trying to keep this one on topic. So let me post it one more time. If you want to come over there and get support and hang out and learn about plant-based eating, that's where I'm at. As always, thank you guys so much for hanging in and all the support, and I really appreciate you guys. Oh, Vicky, thanks for the ice cream. Appreciate that over at DLive, and thanks for all the people watching over at DLive. I appreciate you coming and going there, and thank you so much. As always, be nice to your cat, and I will see you next time. Boom.